I've always had a preference for hiking solo, not because I dislike people but because I deeply appreciate solitude. In the woods, I don't have to make conversation, there are no deadlines hanging over me, no pinging notifications or unread emails. It's just me, the whisper of the wind, the earth beneath my boots, and the endless trees surrounding me. That's why, while planning a weekend getaway up north, I was immediately drawn to a scarcely documented trail named Dead Pine. It had no official listings, no recent hiker feedback, just a couple of grainy photos and a set of old directions buried in a dusty online hiking forum. It sounded exactly like what I was looking for, quiet, remote, and untouched. The drive took me off the beaten path, deep into dense woods. I passed a solitary gas station with hand-painted signs and an old general store that looked frozen in time, probably untouched since the early 90s. When I finally pulled into the trailhead, the clock had already crept past 3 p.m. I figured I had enough daylight for a quick loop, maybe 2 hours at most, and planned to be back at my car before nightfall. As I stepped out and began tightening the laces on my boots, I caught the sound of footsteps crunching on the gravel behind me. Turning around, I saw a park ranger approaching from the path. But there was something not quite right about him. His face was hollow and drawn, his skin unnervingly pale, and a twitch jumped beneath one of his eyes. His uniform was official looking, but his name tag had been so badly scratched that it was unreadable. He wasn't wearing the standard ranger hat either, just had wild, thinning gray hair blowing erratically in the wind. "Planning to hike that trail?" he asked in a flat, lifeless voice. "Yeah," I replied casually. "Just a short one. Planning to head out before dark." He didn't acknowledge my words with a nod or a smile. He just kept staring at me, his expression blank. "You need to be off that trail before sundown," he said. I paused. "Okay." I was planning to be, I told him, a little uneasy now. He stepped in a bit closer, his eyes becoming increasingly glassy, like he was looking through me rather than at me. "No," he said again, firmer this time. "This isn't about animals or weather or you getting lost. I'm warning you because it comes into the trees after sunset." A chill ran through me. "What comes?" I asked. He opened his mouth as if to answer, but no words came out, just silence. Then he shook his head, turned his back to me, and walked away toward a weather-beaten ranger cabin hidden just beyond the tree line. I stood there, unsure whether I should still go ahead. But I've never been one to believe in ghost stories or local legends meant to scare tourists. I chalked it up to an overzealous warning, adjusted my pack, locked the car, and headed onto the trail. At that moment, I had no idea I was leaving normalcy behind. The Dead Pine Trail felt aptly named. The trees were unlike anything I'd seen on previous hikes, towering, unnaturally narrow, and disturbingly still. Even when wind brushed through the canopy, the branches didn't move. There was no bird call, no buzzing insects, just a quiet, low hum that seemed to vibrate through the entire forest, like the woods were holding their breath. About half an hour into the hike, the trail narrowed. Roots wove themselves over the ground like knotted veins, and thick moss swallowed up the crunch of my steps. I paused to take a sip from my water bottle and realized everything had gone dead quiet. Not even the whisper of wind remained. And that's when the whispering began. At first, I thought it was just breeze teasing the leaves, a faint rustling hiss. But the sound wasn't random. It had rhythm, tone, like someone speaking just beyond the edge of perception. I turned around, scanning the trees. Nothing but trunks and shadows. I tried to convince myself it was in my mind. Maybe I was dehydrated or over-caffeinated from the drive up. Then I saw it, a ring of stones just off the trail. 7 of them, all cracked and aged, arranged in a perfect circle around 10 feet wide. I hadn't veered from the path, and I was certain this hadn't been there before. The rocks were etched with odd markings, deep, angular carvings that looked like runes, though I couldn't identify them. They felt ancient. I stared at them for a long while, mesmerized and uneasy. The whispering grew more intense the closer I moved. The air around the circle felt dense and heavy, as though something unseen was resisting my presence. Watching. Uneasy, I stepped back and checked the time. 6:12 p.m. Down. The golden hues of daylight had already faded into a smoky, ashen gray. I didn't have time to stay any longer. I needed to turn back. But as I tried to retrace my steps, something didn't add up. The trail had changed. Trees I had distinctly passed earlier had vanished. That fallen log I remembered stepping over was nowhere to be seen. The woods had grown tighter, more constricting, and no matter how long I walked, nothing looked familiar. I took out my phone. No bars. GPS completely disoriented, with the blue dot spinning aimlessly, unable to figure out my direction. Then I heard it. snap. A branch breaking somewhere behind me. I froze. Snap. Crunch. Snap. Something or someone was following me, matching my pace. I whipped around and called out, "Hello? Who's out there?" Silence answered, and then that low humming returned. Only this time it was musical, deliberate, a soft lullaby echoing from somewhere within the trees. No, from the trees themselves. And then I saw it. Movement between two narrow trunks. A figure, slender, inhumanly tall, skin pale as bone. It stood utterly motionless, waiting for me to notice. I didn't wait for more. I ran, and the humming chased me. I don't know how long I ran, 10 minutes, maybe more. The passage of time had started to blur. I kept looping around, always ending up near that stone circle. I never saw it directly again, but I glimpsed a couple of the stones between trees, just enough to realize I hadn't gone far. And the humming, it wasn't getting louder. It was getting closer. My legs trembled. My chest burned with each breath. But I knew, instinctively, that if I stopped for even a second it would catch me. I tumbled downhill, branches tearing at my skin. I dropped my water bottle, then my flashlight. I didn't care. Escape was all that mattered. That's when I spotted the figure again. It wasn't chasing. Wasn't running. It just stood there, half concealed by a wide pine, not behind the tree but within it. The bark shifted before my eyes, rippling like skin over muscle. Its head cocked slightly, devoid of eyes or expression. Just the faint impression of human features, like a poorly drawn face on something pretending to be human. Its mouth gaped open, wide and unnatural. The melody was coming from inside it. And then it clicked. The tune, it was changing. It was mimicking. It was copying me. I bolted again, my heartbeat hammering in my chest. Every root grabbed at my boots. Every branch tried to trip me. The trees closed in, and that eerie lullaby whispered from every angle. Then, through the brush, I saw lights. My car. Somehow, against all odds, I had made it out. The gravel parking lot looked exactly as I'd left it. My vehicle sat beneath a flickering floodlight. But the ranger station, it was different. The windows were covered with wooden planks. The paint peeled from the walls. The whole building sagged like it hadn't been used in decades. I ran up and pounded on the door. No answer. Peeking through a gap, I saw cobwebs, dust, and bare shelves. I turned back to my car and froze in place. The trees at the forest's edge were shifting, not swaying, changing. Their bark split open, revealing pale slits underneath, mouths, dozens of them, all in harmony, all humming that same maddening lullaby. My hands fumbled as I unlocked the door. I dove into the driver's seat and tore out of the lot. In the rearview mirror, just for a second, I saw it. A figure, standing in the middle of the road, waving. It's been 3 days. I haven't slept since. Every time I shut my eyes, I see bark parting and something grinning inside. And last night, while walking past the woods near my apartment, I noticed something. There were never pines there before. But now there's one. Just one. And it's humming.